Hi everyone, I'm Akshara, and today we're going to be talking about the personal statement and what to write in it. The personal statement is something that you have to write to enter medicine and is a part of the application process. This is basically like writing a personal essay about yourself and about your interest in medicine, which has a 4,000 character limit or a 47 line limit. So let's get right into it. The first paragraph is where you're going to talk about your initial interest or spark for medicine. In this part of the paragraph, you can talk about whether it was the science aspect, the science knowledge, academic part of medicine, or you can talk about a personal experience where you first-handedly experienced a specific thing where you got to meet doctors or anybody in healthcare and how that affected you and why that might have been an initial spark for that interest in medicine. Or you can talk about maybe more of like the clinical caring aspect where you wanted to meet with patients and treat them as a person and you found that very interesting. And this is exactly that paragraph, that part where you're going to be talking about that. However, you can also be like me where I talked about how it wasn't only one singular reason as to why I was interested in medicine or I want to be a doctor, but really a variety of things put together. This paragraph is going to be quite short and quite detailed, where you really get into like those specific factors, which will be really hard to identify. But this is also really important to be able to write this because this really make sure that you really want to be a doctor. Now, don't stress out if you don't have a single reason or a specific instant because many people are in the same position as you. But make sure when you do talk about a specific reason or like a variety of reasons that you do give a detailed explanation. So not being like, I like the science part. The academic knowledge behind medicine really interests me as I've had background experience in whatever, things like that. Moving on to the second paragraph, this is where you talk about how you were able to take that initial spark and progress it into a further understanding of medicine and why you truly want to go into medicine. So this is where you would talk about your shadowing experiences. And this is something that you must have when wanting to go into medical school. So go over the different doctors that you shadowed or different settings that you shadowed or professionals. So for example, I had shadowed many different doctors, many different professions. So that's something that I talked about, but it's to each their own because here you might not have too much experience and you might have a little bit less than that. Or maybe you've done a lot in the same situation, the same setting. So it's really important here to go in depth and to reflect on what you have seen and what you have learned. And here you're going to talk about specific experiences, examples that you saw while shadowing these several professionals or doctors. So I talked about a specific moment where I saw a pediatrician having to make a difficult decision, which talks about the resiliency that they had to go through and the emotional aspect of that. Then I talked about a GP and how they had connected with lots of patients that day and they have minimal time, but they do so much and had to not only treat a patient not only treat a patient by giving them medications, but holistically where they cared for the patient's mental well-being as well. And I also talked about other healthcare professionals that I shadowed because I didn't just shadow doctors. I also shadowed dietitians and nurses and counselors, and that also helped me show in my personal statement that medicine was the career I chose because I had seen these different professionals and I saw how important their job was, but it didn't align with me or with what I was hoping to get in my future career. While you're addressing these specific experiences, don't forget to bring in the specific skills that you learned. So when I was shadowing pediatricians and I shadowed other healthcare professionals, I saw how they worked together and how that was teamwork. Then I saw resiliency, I saw confidence, I saw leadership, lots of different skills that you can talk about while reflecting on these singular experiences. If you've done online experiences as well, you can bring that in. It might not just be in-person experiences that you've learned or shadowed through, because there are other online programs that you can talk about that you have done that helped you learn more about the medical field and has given you insights into that as well. Now that second paragraph is really important because this is really where you have to show that you've learned. So the biggest thing is choosing specific experiences and really reflecting on them in the little space that you have. So make sure to make a list of all the experiences that you've had, all the things that you can remember, and do this while you're shadowing as well, so that you can take these examples and put them in your statement, and how that has stayed with you and how that is a memory of the medical field for you. The third paragraph is where you're going to talk about how you might have these skills or have had the opportunity to step into the medical field yourself. So this is where you're going to talk about volunteering or any specific initiatives that you have done. So I talked about several different volunteering that I've done. Gladly, I've done hospital volunteering, food bank volunteering, senior home volunteering, and many other volunteering experiences. So I took my top 3 or 2 through 3 and went really in depth with what I had done with that. So again, in the hospital, I had several different roles, which gave me insights into different parts of the hospital, where I'm working with doctors, where I'm working with other professionals, where I personally could be someone like a doctor for a patient when I was in the emergency ward and I had to be a supportive person, had to be there for them. And that gave me insights on how I might be able to do that in the future as well. Or when I worked leading an initiative, how that gave me leadership skills. And it's really important here to talk about those singular experiences once again and reflecting on what you have learned and what skills you have gained and have also had the opportunity to improve on, and how this is really useful in medicine as well, and also how you hope to use them in the future, and maybe what experiences you can connect the shadowing and the volunteering to. So that was an important paragraph. The next paragraph, the fourth paragraph, is going to be about your extracurriculars, your hobbies, any books you've read or presentations or research that you've done. Basically, this one's more about like your personal life and how there might be some connections to medicine, but also how you like to do things for fun. And this is something that you can do in the future as you're a doctor or as a medical student that can help you de-stress or relax. I had a lot of extracurriculars, so I didn't have to bring in any books or presentations that I had gone to that helped me learn more about medicine. But if you don't have as many extracurriculars, I would suggest bringing those in. I got really scared when everyone talked about books in their personal statement and I did not, but that's okay because I've done other things that are able to show my interest in medicine. If you do have a lot of extracurriculars like I do, make sure to shortlist them and to decide which ones are like the best ones, which one would stand out, and which ones are maybe not as big of a long-term commitment and doesn't really show who you really are and what you've learned. And in this, I would take like the top ones to be leadership roles or teamwork roles, things where you've done a lot with them. When you're talking about these, always show the skills that you've learned and connect it to medicine. If you've done research as well, such as an EPQ or other things, make sure to include this as well, because this shows that you might be interested in taking up research as a part of medicine when you work as a doctor in the future. For example, I mentioned my science fairs and how I've done academic research at the local university in the summer. And also I mentioned a few of the fundraisers that I led and initiatives where I did my own initiative and went into the community and gathered cards from everyone. So that's something that you can talk about as well if you've done a specific project of your own, like a passion project. I also mentioned the leadership councils as I was a part of. I was a part of the city youth council, school council, and I was also the president of my dance club. So that's something I brought in. So if you're the president or a captain of a team, make sure to mention that. But also don't just try to show things that are gonna, you know that they're gonna like, oh, like if I show this, that they're gonna be really impressed. Also show that you like to do things for fun. Maybe not like sitting on a couch watching TV, sleeping, not those kind of things, but more like things that you like to do. So I mentioned that I love to travel, I love to take photos, do photography, I love fashion, so things like that as well, which you can quickly add in one line about. This paragraph doesn't need to be as big as the other ones because this is just more about yourself, but don't forget to include this because this is really important. That can make you stand out compared to other applicants. Now quickly, as a conclusion, you can add one more last paragraph. This is to just wrap it up. So in here, you're going to talk about why you're wanting to study in the UK. So if you're an international student, this is really important to mention that medical education in the UK stands out to you because of XYZ. And really reflect on that and how it also aligns with your personal goals and your future career goals as well. And then connect again why you aspire to be a physician or as a doctor. What do you hope to gain out of it? And what do you hope to do in the future with that? And also mention about why you want to work with the NHS and how that might be something that sticks out to you. Overall, that's what you need to include in your personal statement. However, while you're writing your personal statement, make sure to be concise and clean. Use keywords. Now, you might have heard this before, but it's important to use keywords because that shows that you know stuff about the medical field. You don't have to include too many of them. So yeah, when you're talking about these experiences, don't forget to include multidisciplinary team. Maybe you saw that while you were shadowing a doctor in the hospital, or holistic care while shadowing a GP, or patient-centered care or approach. That's something to include. Sometimes people try to make their personal statement really fancy using all these big words and fancy terminology, but honestly, sometimes that doesn't get the point across. So I suggest to write it in your own words and make several drafts and refine it. And don't use too big of words. Just try to make it more of a formal manner while you're writing it, and overall it should be easy to read and gets the point across. Lastly, make sure to sell yourself. It might sound like you're flexing, but this is your chance to show them who you are and what you've done and all the hard work you've put in. So don't forget to do that. And that's it. Thank you so much, and keep following for more.